We knew that Blend Bunny was coming out with a new product because they had changed around their logo, and every single time that they changed their logo, whether it's like the font, the colours, etc., we know that something new is coming. And this is their new palette, the Machina. So in true Blend Bunny style, they showed us the outside, then they showed us some black and white pictures, but they have now revealed it. So let's chat about it. As you may be able to tell from the cover and the name, this is a sci-fi based palette, and this was one that she made in collaboration with her dad. It was something that he had kind of dreamed up. That she even showed like some text messages between the two of them, and I think that's really nice because the last palette that she kind of had with him was the Primal palette. So you know me, I'm very emotional, so I hear these kind of things and I go, ah, very, very cute. This is the inside of the palette, and she's kind of returned to those kind of colour stories within columns. That's sort of a gradient of colour, which is sort of what put the brand on the map. And people were annoyed when she went away from that with the Sickly Sweet palette, and she gave her justification for that. But I'm sure a lot of people will be very, very pleased to see the return to format here. So the theme of the palette is essentially when the machine glitched into human. So over on the right hand side is where you have the kind of like machiney bit, and over on the left hand side is the human bit. I kind of want to go back to the cover though. The cover itself is absolutely fantastic, and here's the thing, like the whole theme is sci-fi, essentially AI, and here she could have potentially done the whole like, oh, I'm using AI generated artwork, but she didn't, and kudos for that. I think that's fantastic because we've seen this kind of cropping up every so often within the makeup community where like fantastic artists are ignored in favour of AI generated images, and I have to say, well done to Blend Bunny. I think the cover is absolutely stunning, so well done on that. And it's kind of interesting that when they've put it out on a flat lay like this, you can't see the names of the shades, which is, as they said themselves, sort of like they have this sort of like secret code, which I think is kind of cute. It kind of goes with the overall theme. So there are, of course, the mattes, which she's famous for, but there is the shade Cyborg, which apparently is an iridescent multi-chrome, which I think is very, very smart. Because for me, when I think of sci-fi, not that I'm massively into it, I would be thinking of like iridescent shades. Now, for me, if I was doing a sci-fi palette, which again, I'm not into sci-fi, but I would expect to see a lot more like holographic shades, some more kind of like duochrome, multi-chrome type things. But again, this is not exactly my sort of jam. Jam is actually my kind of jam. But in all, I mean, it's not bad. And some swatches are even provided by Deandra Nicole over on Instagram, and she's done a fantastic job of showing kind of the human side, which is up at the top, and the machine side down at the bottom. I do feel like if you have a lot of Blend Bunny's existing palettes, you can probably dupe elements of this. So for me, it's not really kind of something that hits to me, but I love that she did something that was like really like emotional for her and it made sense to her. I mean, I'm looking more at the bottom row, and that's a little bit more me than the top row, but hey ho, I mean, it kind of is what it is. I feel like there's a couple of shades here that are quite similar to the Primal, but of course the Primal is discontinued, so if you missed out on that, this might be the one for you. As I said before though, sci-fi isn't really my thing, so I can't really speak as to how much this lives up to the theme. I think though, for me, with my limited knowledge of the genre, I just feel like maybe some holochromes would have been really interesting. I'm not saying that they necessarily had to put in glitters or anything like that. Lord knows, you know, not a lot of people are into them. But I think if we had more holographic shifts, that could have been really, really interesting. But I gotta say, a massive kudos to Blend Bunny for ensuring that an actual artist did the cover rather than being lazy and going with AI generated art. I think that's really, really important that we keep the focus on things like that. This isn't necessarily a colour story for me. I like kind of the green, the black and the blue bit. Other than that though, it's not for me, but I do like Blend Bunny's formula. So if you're looking at this and are kind of like in two minds, I would say that I would recommend like their formula. But let me know down below what you think. Does this kind of adhere to the sci-fi theme, or are you a bit unimpressed? I am nosy as always, so let me know down below.